You're listening to the Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson podcast.
I'm going to start off with the gentleman who is challenging Eric Cantor in the Republican primary for this seat in Virginia. His name is Dave Brat. I've interviewed Dave before, and you can go back and listen to the podcast. I'm sure I will at other times in the future. But right now I'm going to focus on some of the things that's been happening in the campaign, not as much on Dave, but Dave's at the center of this. Dave, welcome back to the Morning Blaze. How are you?
Hey, Doc, doing great. Thanks for having me on.
I want to focus on what's going on, first of all, to tell the true tale of Eric Cantor from your perspective challenging him. Dave, first of all, tell people what you do for a living. What is your background and where do you work?
Yeah, thanks, Doc. Hey, I economics professor at Randolph-Macon College for the last 18 years, went to Princeton Seminary, and then on to get my Ph.D. in economics from the American University. So been teaching, chaired the department for the last 6 years. I've been on the governor's economic advisory panel in Virginia for 6 years. Was appointed to the Board of Accountancy last year on the RMA board downtown, and have been working on education policy in the General Assembly for about 10 years. And so... the reason I asked that specifically is I want people to understand your background. I mean, you know, you're a bright guy. You're an educated man. You know, I mean, you're somebody that people should at least go, okay, I understand this guy comes from a position of knowledge. Thanks.
Let me ask you, what's going on in Virginia with the campaign? I keep getting reports, and I'll share some of them specifically coming up, of some of the political trickery that's going on. What's happening?
Yeah, well, it's a long, complex inside baseball piece, but your opening remarks are right on point. This set of issues that I'm about ready to cover, I'll just briefly define it for you, and then we can talk about it as long as we can.
Yeah, please do.
But it affects the very foundations of our democracy. The most serious issues that you talked about, our rights from our Creator, are in threat because democracy is being challenged. And so the technique on the inside baseball is called slating. And roughly speaking, what that is, many groups in the Virginia Republican Party affiliated with Eric Cantor are involved in slating conservatives to keep them from having a say in party processes and party leadership. And so this is outright disenfranchisement of the grassroots and the heart and soul of the Republican Party. As an example, there were over 1,000 people prevented from being delegates to party events in Virginia Beach alone. This is all documented. That doesn't even include other places where this slating has occurred: Richmond City, Fauquier, Campbell County. There's others around here. Second point I'll make, right here in our backyard, same groups would have tried this. We're trying to pull it off right here in Henrico County, Cantor's backyard. But our grassroots activists rallied and handed Cantor's folks in the Republican political machine in this area a resounding defeat. Folks are interested in more details, and I hope they are, should go to a blog called thebullelepphant.com, and it's all laid out there. And then on a national scale, for your audience nationwide, Cantor is attending an event this coming weekend down at Amelia Island in Florida for a PAC that's dedicated to defeating conservative candidates and congressmen around the country. That PAC is linked to money from well-known leftist billionaire George Soros. It's not just my campaign that's noticed this. Eric Erickson at Red State, Breitbart has posted it today, and several other media outlets have written about all this. And so basically Eric Cantor's out to defeat conservatism from the Republican side, and he's the next in line to be Speaker of the House.
You know, I've made the statement over the years, Dave. I've made the statement that, I think John Boehner is probably a pretty nice guy. I think he's in over his head and doesn't exactly know what to do. I'm sure he's in it for himself a little bit, too. But when John Boehner goes away, and if the Republicans maintain power, that Eric Cantor is going to end up Speaker of the House. If that happens, people will beg for the days of John Boehner. With this guy's focus on self and political paybacks. Now, here's what I want to do, Dave. I'm going to dive into the red state stuff about this big event that Eric Cantor and others are likely going to attend this coming weekend. But first, explain what the slating is in Virginia so people understand this, because I want to make sure they understand this comes down to the people who are going to be part of the primary process, right?
Right.
Explain how that works in Virginia so we understand.
Right, and so for more details than I can give you in a small time, go.
Sure.
I'll refer the readers to the bullelephant.com for exactly how this works. But basically, when district leadership is up for grabs at the state and local level, you have Republican meetings, and at those Republican meetings, this has never happened before. That's why this is new.
Right.
Slating has been used properly in the past. If Democrats come into a Republican Party, there's a proper procedural role for slating them to ensure Republicans are. And
so what that means is like an appointment almost. The leadership says this is who's going to be there, right?
Right. Right. So in the Virginia Beach case I was talking about, 1,000+ people showed up at the local level to be delegates and votes for their own district chairs, right? And it's tied to later state control of conventions and that kind of thing, and even votes for U.S. senators eventually.
Yeah, the district chairs in Virginia are very, very powerful.
Right, that's right. So it's about control of the party, and there's, this debate has been going on forever, but this is the first time this completely unfair technique and procedure has been used. And so 1,000 people are sitting there showing up, given their scarce time in the evenings, right, away from their families, away from their kids, to represent democracy, and only 32 were chosen, right? 32 people friendly to Eric Cantor were chosen to be delegates out of 1,000. And so hundreds and hundreds of people lost their right, privilege, access to be a delegate to the Republican Party. And it's almost incomprehensible that a conservative would do that to someone else. And the irony, Eric has a PAC himself called Every Republican is Crucial. Well, it appears every Republican is crucial except for 900 that you don't like.
Wow. So essentially what they've done is they've said we're going to use something that is there, kind of in case of emergency, break glass in case Democrats are able to, overrun and infiltrate the party, that they could say, we will take that position away. Instead, they've used that to take it away from people within the party who are conservative. Now, in the past, Dave, we would think that would be used as an emergency against Democrats, meaning progressives. But no, they're saying in case of emergency against conservatives, and they took that power out of the people's hands.
Right. That's exactly what's going on, right? And we usually reserve this kind of action to Democrats, right? It's Reagan's 11th commandment, be fair to our own. Don't speak poorly. But Eric Cantor and the machine is disenfranchising our own people on the Republican side, and especially the conservative free market constitutional folks are being targeted. So
this
opening remarks, right?
Yeah, this was in Virginia Beach that happened, right? The Virginia Beach area?
Correct. And 4 or 5 other counties are detailed separately in the bullelephant.com.
Now, what went down in Henrico County? For those people, let me geographically lay it out for you. Virginia Beach is eastern part of Virginia, out along the beach. Richmond is more central eastern Virginia, and of course that's the capital. Henrico County surrounds the part of Richmond area and includes part of Eric Cantor's district.
Right.
What happened in Henrico County then? Was it similar, or they actually had some victories?
Yeah, same attempt, right? So in Richmond is split by congressional district a bit. So you have the 7th district of Eric Cantor, and then you have the 3rd district
of Bobby Scott.
Right, yeah, and the party machine came in to slate both of those. And so there were discussions before and after. We know slating was going to occur based on what the other side told and discussed with our side. And so the exact same thing happened, but in our case, the grassroots, and I cannot thank all the people that worked just tirelessly on that effort, making emails. Every single grassroots group sent 5 or 6 folks, their friends, made phone calls, emails. They rallied enough people to overwhelm the Cantor machinery in this area, who also put out email lists from all the legislators under Eric's machine, and the grassroots prevailed. And you can hear the shockwaves are building, thanks to folks like you, and Breitbart is posting this news story. The shockwaves from what happened in Henrico are just going to be nationwide.
Now, the way I understand it, of the Central Committee chairs in Virginia, there's 83 seats. 53 of them now are held by conservatives. Is that accurate? Did I? Yeah,
that sounds right.
That
right?
Sounds
conservatives
right.
have had control of state central and for the for the governor's position in the past, and so Eric Cantor wants to upset that Democratic outcome.
All right, this is shocking. I'm going to get to the George Soros connected funding event that they have coming up in just a second. Before I let you go, though, Dave, I want the people to know a little bit about you. Why were you called as a person with a nice job and a family and whatever else to go and run? Why? What's your passion for this?
Right. Well, this kind of slating issue has been around us for years in our area, in Henrico area. And I've tried to become active politically in the past, and the same types of process were brought to bear on me in the past. And so at a micro level, that's what's going on. But at the national level, there's just huge issues that I believe in, and Eric Cantor and the Republican leadership are not doing anything on them. On amnesty, Eric Cantor's in favor of amnesty. On debt, he has voted for increased debt ceilings the last several times. The House is in control of the purse strings, and yet the debt just goes up and up and up. Unfunded liabilities now are $127 trillion. And on Obamacare, it's a complete failure. Any free market person understands why it has to fail, because it cannot represent the people. 300 million people cannot be managed from a top-down central government command and control type of setup. And so I can go into detail on any of those. But Eric Cantor is not fighting against these crony capitalist major pieces of the country.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dave, I'm going to invite you back in the next couple of weeks or so people can find out more about you. And I also want you to touch on a couple of other issues in the future as well. But I wanted to get that piece out to tell the first part of the story about Eric, and we'll pick it up right after a break, okay?
Great. Hey, can I add one more
yes,
thing,
sir.
Doc?
Yes, sir.
Because this is such a huge national issue, we have a fundraising deadline tonight at midnight. Mm-hmm. And so I need the folks that care about this issue to go to DaveBratForCongress.com. Dave
is
Brat,
that F-O-R?
Yeah, F-O-R, Dave Brat, B-R-A-T, forcongress.com, and contribute as much as they can to send a resounding statement from the people and to turn this country around.
All right, Dave. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you telling your tale.
All right, thank you, Doc. Thanks for having me on.
Dave Brat for Congress. This is just the beginning of it, folks. There's much more to come about Eric Cantor. You want to know the true Eric Cantor? I'm telling you this hour. Any one of these issues by themselves will get Eric Cantor fired. Any one of them. Any one of these issues will get him fired and turn this country around if people know about it. This is The Morning Blaze.
The next generation of talk radio.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
On the Blaze Radio Network.